Well, rescuers in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region are still looking for survivors after a pair of Russian missile strikes. Now, these happened Monday night in Punk Rock, killing at least 7 people and wounding more than 80. One of those dead, a first responder. Ukrainian officials accused Russia of so-called double-tap strikes, launching a second attack to hit rescue teams who go to the scene of the first attack. Claire Sebastian is here in London. Claire, what are the details, as we understand? Yeah, Becky, we understand that at least 7 people were killed. The injury toll now up to 80, one of which almost half made up by police and rescuers. So that gives you a sense of what happened here, because is a town in the Donetsk region, in the part of that region that Ukraine still occupies, although Russia, of course, has claimed to annex that entire region. So no stranger to fighting. This is a region that has seen fighting since 2014. But this attack that happened at dusk in the evening, people having dinner and people in their apartments, still came as a shock. Take a look even for a town that spent most of the last decade on the edge of conflict. These are startling images. Daylight revealing a wide area of destruction in just as rescue efforts resumed. The head of the town, some 30 miles from the eastern front, says 2 Iskander ballistic missiles struck 37 minutes apart Monday evening. This is a standard Russo-fascist scenario. 30 to 40 minutes between missiles, and the state emergency service and rescuers arrived to save people. The second missile hit, and so the number of victims increases. Here is the moment of that second hit captured on a paramedic's body camera. Ha 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 ha. Is it not surprising then that dozens of police officers and rescuers were among the injured as well as children? The deputy head of the state emergency service in the Donetsk region killed yesterday. What's more, it is 30 years. Look, having witnessed the first strike, this 75-year-old woman fell victim to the second in her own apartment. There was the first impact. We were not hit, or was okay here. I was talking on the phone sitting, and then suddenly this flew out and it fell around me. Then the window fell on me. My back has cuts. A hotel now closed. An Italian restaurant once frequented by foreign journalists also hit. Russia has denied targeting civilian areas, saying Tuesday it has a Ukrainian military command post Kursk. But nearly 18 months into this war, attacks like this are commonplace. And Ukraine says Russia is not letting up on the front lines either. Footage released this weekend showing Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu apparently visiting rare positions inside Ukraine, capping a week in which Ukraine says Russia fired almost 500,000 munitions in the east. This as Western officials tell CNN. 2 months in, briefings on the state of Ukraine's counter-offensive are growing more and more pessimistic as Ukrainian troops still face layers of Russian defenses in the south with mounting casualties. One chink of light. The first batch of U.S. Abrams battle tanks is now ready for shipment and set to arrive by early fall, likely not soon enough to turn the tide in the counter-offensive. But a boost for Ukrainian morale again under attack. You know, Becky, these attacks on civilian areas, even though Russia consistently denies them, has become a hallmark of this conflict, with Sover at the end of July, Kramatorsk at the end of June. The randomness of this designed to sort of keep the psychological pressure on Ukrainians to test their resolve even as Russia is struggling to break through their defenses in some regions. And just one more thing. Rescuers also have been in the firing line throughout this conflict. We had a new number today from a spokesman for the state emergency services that 78 rescuers have been killed. 280 injured, they say, since the start of the full-scale invasion. Claire, just a little more, if you will, on these concerns about this Ukrainian counteroffensive. New CNN reporting revealing Ukraine's allies getting on. Quote here, sobering updates from the battleground. To be a little bit more specific. Yeah, this is reporting that CNN has that Western and US officials saying that frankly, they're getting a bit of a dose of reality, that the 2 months or so into this counteroffensive, we're really not seeing much movement. The fact that Russia had the time to build up its defenses, especially we see in the south, has meant that Ukraine has faced mounting casualties there now in some areas, having to pull back units in order to minimize those casualties. In many ways, this wasn't unexpected. President Zelensky has been saying, look, we were waiting. We wanted to start the counteroffensive in the spring. We had to wait for more weapons, for more ammunition until around early June when we felt comfortable enough to start it. But there are some questions around that as well, whether enough training was given to the brigades who are operating some of the Western weapons systems that balance and act that we've been talking about, whether to go quicker or to wait for more training. Some of that is coming into play now. But I suppose one small silver lining for the Ukrainians is that at least this managed is the expectations and they are still getting. We saw with the Abrams tanks, they're still getting these Western weapons through. Yeah. And CNN chief national security correspondent Jim Sciutto has been speaking with many of those U.S. officials. And we'll be live with Jim next hour. Thank you.